Yeah, hello everyone. Is my voice audible, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So today is our session 2, right, on React. So session 2 on React. So in last session, we have just discussed introduction to React JS, right? In last session, we have just discussed introduction to React JS. So what are the points we have discussed in the last session? Have you guys remembered? First, we have started our discussion with the prerequisite. I have explained you exactly what is the prerequisite to learn React. Then we have started our discussion with what is React. And during the discussion of what is React, we just came across a word called library. And we have discussed what is library. So once we came to know what is React, what is library, then we have discussed what is the purpose of React. Purpose of React. Okay. So the prerequisite to learn React is you should know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. So in very brief, I can say that you should know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then we started our discussion with what is React. So have you guys remembered what is React? If I ask you what is React, so what will be your answer?
React is a
React is
JavaScript library.
That's it. That is the pretty straightforward answer. So what is React? React is a JavaScript library. It is a JavaScript library. That's it. React is a JavaScript library. So while understanding what is React, here we have came across the word library. So can you tell me what is library? What is library?
predefined functions,
Predefined functions or
method,
classes, yeah. Or you have to say objects. So what is library means? Library is a collection of, it is a collection of predefined functions or classes or objects. It is just a collection of some predefined functions and classes or functions or classes or objects. So this is what we have discussed. What is library? What is library? Now we know what is React, what is library. Now whatever predefined functions or classes or objects are there, all these are implemented using a language called JavaScript. That is why we say that React is a JavaScript library. Now what is the use of this library? What we can do with this library? So that is where the purpose of React will come into picture. So can you guys tell me what is the purpose of React?
we can develop UI page, user interface.
User interface. So React is all about building user interfaces. Okay, React is used to build or create user interface. User interface. Now, what is user interface? Anybody knows? What is user interface? Because you guys are coming from HTML, JavaScript, right? So you should know what is user interface.
User can interact with that.
Yeah, but what is user interface? You told me what we can do with user interface. Basically, user can interact it. But basically, if someone asks you how you will define what is user interface.
It's a user friendly while looking this function itself, they can understand it easily. For example, we are developing the form, right? With the sample information, username, password, and then email. Those are all user friendly, right? So anyone can fill the form.
Yeah. So basically, user interfaces are nothing but they are the collection of UI components. Collection of UI components. Now, what are UI components? Whatever you are seeing in the browser, all are UI components. For example, button is a UI component. One text box is a UI component. One radio button is a UI component. One checkbox is a UI component. One image container where we can display our images, it is a UI component. So user interface is nothing but it is a collection of some UI components. Now what we can do with this user interface, basically using this user interface, a normal user can interact with the software. Basically, user interface we create so that a user can interact with the software. But exactly what is user interface means? It is a collection of UI components. For example, if I open here Facebook application. Okay, the moment I access my Facebook application, here you are able to see some user interface. Now this entire user interface is created by collecting lot of UI components. Now here this text box is one UI component. This text box is one UI component. This button is UI component. This link is UI component. And this text also, which we have created using some elements. All these are UI components. Now, if you combine all these UI components, then this entire thing we are going to call as a user interface. We are going to call as a user interface. So the purpose of React, why we are using React means we are using React to create like this user interface. That is what I am saying. So what is React? React is used to build or create user interfaces. User interfaces means basically we are going to create like this UI components. So many UI components we are going to create and we are going to arrange them in a proper order as per our requirement. Now that entire system of UI components we are going to call as a user interface. Now user can interact here. How he will interact? By adding his email ID, by adding his password, by clicking on this. This is how user is interacting. So using React also now you are going to create text boxes. Using React also you are going to create buttons. Using React you are going to create links. So this is what we are going to do with the React. So React is a simple user. It is used to create user interface. Now to create this UI components, like this, if you want to create UI components, now React is providing us some predefined functions or classes or objects. Now in React, you will study about those functions. You will explore those classes. You will explore those objects. Whatever React is giving, you will explore all those things. And after exploring all those things, by using all those, we are going to create user interface. We are going to create user interface. Now, suddenly you should get a doubt. What is that doubt? Now, using React, if we are creating user interface, before React also, there were some technology using which we were creating user interface only. For example, HTML. Now, using HTML also, we can create user interface. Now, using HTML also, you can create user interfaces. Nothing but you can create all these UI components. Using your HTML, you can create text box. Using HTML, you can create button. Using HTML, you can create links. Using HTML, you can display like this content. Now, like this user interface, you can create using HTML also. Not only HTML, even using JavaScript. Using JavaScript also, I can create user interface. Now, using JavaScript also, we can create button. Using JavaScript also, we can create text box. Using JavaScript, we can create heading elements, paragraph elements, links. All those things we can create using JavaScript also. Then again, why we are learning React to do the same thing? Why we are learning React to do the same thing. Now, this is where you have to understand why React. Why React is used to create user interface. Anybody knows the answer for it? Just if you have any kind of idea, then you can express it. Understood, right? We are coming everything step by step. You guys have joined React batch, React course. So first of all, you should know what is React. What we can do with React.
We can create the components separately, actually, like a functions.
But why? We can do that with plain JavaScript also, right?
Yes, here we can club only the HTML separately, how do I say that? Yeah, we can split the components. Whenever we want to change the particular component, particular tag or something, we can only edit that particular components. No need to go and edit all the buttons or something.
Yeah. So that is one of the reason. And fast rendering. But we can do fast rendering with React, with JavaScript also. We can reuse the components. Okay, so I think some of you guys know little bit, React. Maybe some people know good amount of React. Some people know little amount of React. So they are able to use some proper terms like components, rendering. Okay, fine. So let me try to explain in very, very simple words. Okay, so for this, we have to do little bit practicals. First, let's try to understand how to create user interface with HTML. Let's go back to our HTML part. Let's understand how do we create user interface with HTML. So let's assume that I want to create a simple button using HTML. Create simple button using HTML. Now, can you guys tell me if I want to create one simple button using HTML, what HTML is providing to us so that we can create a button?
Button.
Yeah. So what button? Button element, right? So basically your HTML is providing us something called button element. And this button element we can use in the form of button tag. Button tag. So directly what HTML is saying, you take this button element, you use it, your button will be created. Okay, remember this thing. HTML is giving us directly a button element. It is not asking us to create button element. It is saying that already I created button element. You just take it and you create a button. So how do we create a button in HTML? For that, let me open my VS Code. Okay, here I will just open some dummy folder. Okay, I will just say here something like today is our session 2, right? So let me rename it as a session 2. And today's date 23/05/2024. Now what I did, I just opened one empty folder in my VS Code. Now my requirement is I want to create one simple button using HTML. So how do we create? For that, we create one HTML file. Everybody knows how to create HTML file. No need to explain all this. I have created one HTML file. In that, I am just adding my basic code of HTML. Here I started with HTML tag, then head section. And inside this, simply I will take one title and I will say that button using HTML. And simply I am taking one body. And here, if I want to create one button, so let me add one h2, I will say button in HTML. So if I want to create one button, what HTML is saying, take this button element. Take this button element. Now this is your button element. On this button, whatever content we want to show, that content we can add here. So I will simply say this as a HTML button. This is how we create one simple button in HTML. So HTML is giving us this entire thing we call as a button element. It is giving us button element. We are using it and creating one simple button. So the moment I load this document in my browser, one button will be visible on my screen. Now see how easy it is to create one button in your HTML. Okay, so now the point what you have to understand here is HTML is providing us something called button element, using which we have created the button. Remember this point. Now same button I want to create in JavaScript now. We can create button in JavaScript also, right? So create a simple button using JavaScript. Create a simple button using JavaScript. Okay. How to create a button using JavaScript? Can you tell me what JavaScript is providing to us so that we can create a button? Now using JavaScript, I want to create a button. So anybody knows how to create a button using JavaScript? HTML, everybody knows. But using JavaScript, do you know how to create a button? Or to create a button, can you tell me what JavaScript is providing to us? Anybody? JavaScript is providing us something called predefined. It is providing us some predefined object and functions. JavaScript is not providing directly element to us now. JavaScript is providing predefined object and functions. Using this predefined object and functions, we can create something called DOM elements. We can create something called DOM element, like we can create DOM button element. Nothing but we can create one button. So if you create button with JavaScript, then that button we call as a DOM button element. If you create button with HTML, then we call that button as a HTML button element. Okay, remember these points. If you create button with HTML, then we call it as a button HTML element or HTML button element. If you create button using JavaScript, that button we call as a DOM button element. So to create one button or to create one DOM button element, JavaScript is providing us object and functions. Using this object and functions, as a developer, we need to create that button DOM element. After creating this button, if you want to show this button on the screen, this button you have to add inside your DOM. You have to add inside your DOM. Again, to add this button inside your DOM, our JavaScript is providing us some predefined objects and functions. So here directly JavaScript is not providing us some elements. It is asking us to create elements, then add those elements inside the DOM, then that element will be visible on the screen. So do you know what is the function and the object that JavaScript is giving to us to create any element, any DOM element? Anybody knows? Okay, this is the DOM and DOM manipulation concept in JavaScript. If you know that concept, you should be able to answer. Can you tell me using which object and functions we can create DOM elements? Have you guys heard about document.createElement function? So here create element is a function, document is an object. So it is a function, it is an object. Now using this document.createElement, we can create one button. So let me show you how to create a button in JavaScript now. So for this also, first of all, we have to create one HTML file. I will say JS button.html. Okay, I'm just adding some basic code. Let me remove all this. Let me add a title here like a JS button. Here simply I will add one h2. I will say JavaScript button. Okay, now let's assume that after this h2, I want to show one button. Now that button I want to create using JavaScript. So what I will do, I will add here script tag. Now here I need to write the code. I need to write the code to create button. Create a button. How to create a button? For that, I can access document object. In that document object, there is a function called create element. Just I need to call that function called create element. Now to this create element, I need to pass the tag name of the element which I want to create. So I want to create DOM button element. So for that DOM button element, the tag name will be button. Now we have to pass that tag name. Now what this line will do internally, it will create one DOM button element for us. And it will return that DOM button element. If it is returning that button DOM element, we can hold it in one variable. I will say here simply button DOM element. Now, the moment this line gets executed, internally, like this one button will be created. But down without any kind of content. There is no content in the button. Just one simple button is created the moment this line gets executed. After that, I want to add some content inside this button. So for that, we write something like this code, button DOM element dot inner text equals to, I will say here, JavaScript button. So the moment this line gets executed, in that case, what happens? In this button, this content will be added. This content will be added. So internally, this is what happens. The moment this line gets executed, like this one button will be created. The moment this line gets executed, like this on that button, this content will be added. Now, if I load this document in my browser, that button will not be visible on the screen. You cannot see that button on the screen. See, the moment I load it, now see there is no button here. You created the button, but that button is not visible on the screen. So if you want to make this button visible on the screen, what we need to do? Next step is this button we have to add in the DOM. Add the button in the DOM. Okay, this is entire JavaScript knowledge, guys. This is entire JavaScript code I am writing here. So you should have all this knowledge. So add the button in the DOM. How to add the button in the DOM? For that, I am taking the reference of my body element. Nothing but this body element reference I am taking, and I am saying that inside this body, add the button. How to add the button? For that, there is one predefined function called append child. What we want to append as a child? This button element. Now see, just to create one button and to show that button on the screen, this much code we have written in the JavaScript. This much code we have written in the JavaScript. Now, if I go back to my browser and if I just refresh, one button is created. Now see, one simple button is created. Now this button we created using JavaScript, not using HTML. This button is created using JavaScript and this button is created using your HTML. If you see the UI, it is same. There is no difference in the UI. But the way of creating both the buttons are different. In HTML, how simple it was. If you see, just we have written one tag. One button is created. But same button, if I want to create in HTML, how much code I have written? See, 1, 2, 3. Nearly 3 lines of code I have to write to create one button. So in HTML, you have written only 1 line of code to create one button. In HTML, how many lines of code we have written? Just 1 line of code we have written. And in JavaScript, same button if you want to create, we have written nearly 3 lines of code just to create one simple button. Now, by seeing this example, can you tell me creating user interface in HTML is easy or creating user interface in JavaScript is easy? So based on this example, can you tell me creating user interface is easy in HTML or JavaScript?
HTML.
That's it. Creating UI, nothing but we have just created one button component. So creating UI is easy in HTML. Creating UI in JavaScript looks little complex. Okay, this is the point what we have to remember now. Okay, let's take one more example. Now what I want to do, I want to create one list element where I want to show the list of some mobile brands. That brand names I want to show in ordered list format. First, let me do in HTML, same thing let me do in the JavaScript. So what I want to do, I want to create one list.html. So I will just add here the basic code. So I will just copy this code from here. And I will just add here. Okay, just what we want here, we want list in HTML we want. So for that, if you want to create a list, what we need to do? Here I will say list in HTML. I want to create list. I don't want to create a button. How to create a list? For that, we have to take OL tag or UL tag, whatever you want. Take LI tag and just mention the name of your brands like Apple. One more LI, I am saying here Samsung. One more LI, here I am saying like Oppo. One more LI, I am saying here like something like OnePlus. Okay, let's assume that I just wanted to show this much. Now, if I load this document in my browser, this is how the UI looks like. Now, this is user interface. All these are your UI components. So this is heading component, this is list component. So this is how we created list in HTML. See how simple it is. Just take OL tag, add number of LI tags. Now same list I want to create in JavaScript, same list. Okay, so what I will do, I will simply say here JS list.html. So in JavaScript also, I will paste this code. Okay, I will say here list in JS. Okay, here I will say list in JS. Now we want to create a list. So if you want to create a list using JavaScript, you have to write JavaScript code. So how to write JavaScript code in HTML document? For that, we take script tag. Okay, now in JavaScript, we want to create this list. If you want to create a list in JavaScript, then first you have to create OL. Then you have to create 4 LIs. This is the first step. You have to create OL, you have to create 4 LIs. How to create OL and 4 LIs means same approach we can follow. So here we can use document object and we can call create element function. And we can pass our OL tag. So the moment you execute this line, one OL will be created. Simple OL is created. We call it as a OL DOM element. So when the moment this line got executed like this, only OL is created. There is no LI inside that OL. It's a simple OL. Now like this, we have to create LIs also. How many LIs we have to create? 4 LIs. So here I will pass LI and here I will say LI, LI1. Variable name as a 1. Like this, how many LIs we want? We want 4 LIs. So if you want 4 LIs, then you have to create that 4 LIs. So here only variable name will change. 3, 4. No need to do any changes here because we want to create 4 LIs. Just we are storing in different variables. Now one OL is created, 4 LIs are created. Now all these LIs, we have to add inside this OL. All these LIs we have to add inside this OL. So how to add? For that we have to say OL DOM element dot append child. What you want to append? LI DOM element 1. So what we are doing here, the moment this line gets executed, inside your OL, one LI will be added. One LI will be added like this. After adding first LI, we want to add second LI also, third LI also, fourth LI also. So what we have to do, same line, we have to execute more 3 times. So here I will say 2, here I will say 3, here I will say 4. Now just see, to create one simple LI, how much code we are writing. First we created OL, then we created 4 LIs, then we are adding all those LIs inside the OL. Now inside this LI, there is no content. I want to add some content inside this LI. How to add the content inside the LI? For that, simply you have to say LI DOM element 1 dot inner text equals to Apple. Like this, LI DOM element 2 dot inner text. Here I will say something like Samsung. LI DOM element 3 dot inner text equals to Vivo. LI DOM element 4 dot inner text equals to OnePlus. Now what we did, the moment this line got executed, inside your LI, like this, Apple is added. Okay, I'm going little bit fast here because I'm just assuming that you know the JavaScript. Okay, here the main thing is you have to focus on concept. You have to understand the concept. Even if you don't understand these lines right now, ignore it. You just try to understand the concept. What is that concept? The concept is, here we are trying to create LI, and to create one LI and OL, this much code we are writing. Now your ordered list is created. Inside that, list items are created, and in each list items we have added the data. Now if I load this document in my browser, that list will not be visible. Now see, that list is not visible. Why it is not visible? Because we just created the ordered list element. We did not add that ordered list inside the DOM. Now next is, we have to add that list in the DOM. Add ordered list with list items in the DOM. If you add your ordered list with list items in the DOM, then only it will be visible. Then only it will be visible on the screen. How to add? For that, take the reference of your document dot query selector of body. Inside the body, I want to add. How to add? Dot append child. What you want to add? OL, because inside the OL, all LIs are present. So if you add OL, it means indirectly you are adding LIs also. So here we have taken the DOM element of this body, tag, and we are saying that inside this body, you add this OL DOM element. And already inside this OL DOM element, we have kept our LIs also. So that LIs will also be added in your DOM. So the moment I refresh, I got it. Now see, list in JavaScript. This is the list in JavaScript. Same list we created in HTML. This is the list in HTML. If you see UI, there is no difference in the UI. UI looks similar only. Just content is changing, but UI is similar. Here also, if you see, UI is similar. But by seeing this example, we can understand how complex it is to create user interface in JavaScript. See, to create one simple ordered list, this much code I have written. And same ordered list, if I want to create in my HTML, I just wrote how many lines of code? Just nearly 6 lines of code. And same ordered list I wanted to create in my JavaScript, I nearly wrote from 9 to 27. 9 to 27. Nearly 18 lines of code I have written. Nearly 18 to 15 lines of code I have written. And same list, if I want to create in HTML, I have written 6 lines of code. So if you want to create list in HTML, you wrote nearly 6 lines of code. And same list, if I want to create in my JavaScript, I have written nearly 15 lines of code. Now see, slowly, creating user interface in JavaScript is becoming very, very complex. Right now, we did not add any styles also. Now, if you add styles also, then you can just imagine how much complex it will be. So by seeing these two examples, we can say that creating user interface in HTML is easy, but creating user interface in JavaScript looks complex. This is what you have to understand. So the benefit in HTML is creating user interface is easy. Drawback with the JavaScript is creating UI in JavaScript itself is a very complex process. It is a very complex process. Suppose suddenly my requirement got changed. Now my manager is saying, I want to show like this list element. I want to show like this list element 4 times. So you are showing here 1 time, like this, show me 4 times. If you want to show same list element 4 times, what we do in the HTML, we just copy this code and we paste 3 more times. 3 more times. So the moment you paste it 3 times, now if you save it, now say you got like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now we are displaying same data. If you want, you can change this data. Now here you are displaying brand names. Here you display Apple mobile names. Here you display Samsung mobile names. Here you display Oppo mobile names. Like this, if you want, you can change the data. Okay, I just don't want to go with that. So basically, here same user interface. If you see this user interface and this user interface and this user interface, if you see all this user interface, they look like same. There is no change in the user interface. Only data will change. If you want to create same kind of user interface like this multiple times in HTML, then what we are doing, we are rewriting same code. We are rewriting same code. If you want same user interface multiple times at different places, then in HTML, same code we have to write multiple times. I want list like this 3 more times. So what I did, I just copy pasted, nothing but I have rewritten the same code. Now same thing I want in the JavaScript. In JavaScript also we are showing the list. So my requirement is like this. I want to show 3 more ordered list elements. So will you write this code more 3 times in JavaScript? If I want to show same list more 3 times in JavaScript, should I write same code multiple times?
No, not needed.
So what we
Only
can do?
the DOM object at the last line we can add.
No. If you add this multiple times, nothing will happen. Will it works? Let me just check if I add one more time. Now see, it's not working. You created only one time, right? So you will be able to add only one time. So if you want same list 3 times means again same list you have to create. Here we have created 3 times, right? I mean 4 times, 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. Like this, same thing you have to do in the JavaScript also. So for this, what we can do is we can use functions concept. What can I do? I can just copy this entire code inside my one JavaScript function. I can create one function. I will say create list. And inside this function, I will copy that code, whatever code I have written. Now this function can I call multiple times? 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. If I call same function 3 times means same code will execute 3 times. And 3 times 3 ordered lists will be created. Now if I go back here and if I refresh, now see I got it. Suppose I want one more 3 times. So I will just copy this function call. I will paste more 3 times. Now in the same way, like this ordered list, I want more 3 times. What I need to do? I need to rewrite same code. Now here see in HTML, if you want same user interface multiple times, what you are doing? You are rewriting the code. Same code you are rewriting multiple times. But in JavaScript, we are not rewriting same code. We have implemented the code only one time. If you see, we have implemented the code only one time inside the function. And that function we are calling multiple times. So here we are reusing the code. In JavaScript, we are reusing the code, and in HTML, we are rewriting the code. So there is a difference between rewriting the code and reusing the code. If you see here, right now the total number of lines that we have written is 39. And if I go to my HTML, now here how many lines of code we have written? Here we have written 51 lines of code. Now user interface is same, but if you see in HTML, we have written 51 lines of code. Same user interface we have created in JavaScript, and we have just written 39 lines of code. This is just for one simple list. Like this, if I want to create one complex user interface, and if I want to reuse that user interface multiple times, then in that case, creating user interface in JavaScript is a better choice. Because in JavaScript, you have to write the code only for one time. Once you have written that code for one time, you can reuse it multiple times. But in HTML, you don't have that option to reuse it. Wherever you want that kind of user interface, you have to rewrite same code. And if you are rewriting same code, then the number of lines in your applications will increase. And the moment number of lines in your application gets increased, the performance of your application slowly will become slow. It will affect your performance. So here, by seeing this example, I can derive one more point. What is that? In HTML, we cannot reuse the code. Or I can say we cannot reuse the user interface. In JavaScript, we can reuse the user interface. If you create a user interface one time, the same user interface, you can reuse it. If you want, you can make it dynamic also. Making dynamic is easy only. It's not difficult in JavaScript. Now here, if you go with the reuse kind of feature, then here in HTML, we have that drawback. It is a drawback here. But in HTML, in JavaScript, we have an advantage that we can reuse it. If you go for creating UI, then creating UI in HTML is simple, but creating UI in JavaScript looks little complex. So there is some advantage with JavaScript. There is some disadvantage with JavaScript. There is some advantage with HTML. There is some disadvantage with HTML. So the advantage with HTML is creating UI is simple, but disadvantage is we cannot reuse it. Advantage with JavaScript is we can reuse the UI. Disadvantage is creating UI itself is a complex process. It is a complex process. This is a core reason why we wanted to go with React. Now, what React says? So basically in React, creating user interface is easy. I mean, it is a very simple, and we can reuse our UI also. So when it comes to React, creating user interface is easy and simple like HTML. Second, in React, we can reuse same UI multiple times. It means reusability is possible in React. So what React is doing, it is just taking the advantage of HTML, advantage of JavaScript. Advantage of HTML and advantage of JavaScript. This is the reason why we wanted to go with React now. Because in React, now we understood that creating user interface is also easy. And we can, if you want, you can reuse your user interface also. So you are getting both features. If you are getting both features here, why you will go with HTML and JavaScript? This is one of the core reason why we are going towards React now. Now, more technical reasons why we are going with React. To understand that, first of all, you have to understand React. If you understand React, then you can mention some technical reasons also. Some other technical reasons which are related to React. So right now, why we are going towards React means these are the 2 points you can mention at this point of time. As we progress in our course, some more points will come into picture. Okay. Now, if someone asks you why you are using React to create user interface. So the answer is creating user interface in React is simple. And if we want, we can reuse that UI. First point is creating UI is simple in React. Second point is we can reuse the UI in the React. These are the 2 points why we are moving towards React. Now we have to understand how to create user interface with React. So basically here we have to understand now how to create button and list in React. How to create button and list in React. Right now we have seen HTML, right now we have seen in JavaScript. And by seeing that process, we just derived 2 points. Then randomly blindly I told one point that creating UI is easy in React like HTML, and in React we can reuse UI. We can reuse the UI. At that point we have to see practically. Practically, we have to feel that creating UI in React is simple. Yes, this is how we reuse the UI in React. Okay, so this part we will see in tomorrow's session. So from tomorrow, we will enter into React now. So we are slowly entering into React.js. The first session was all about introduction. What is React? What is the purpose of React? And just general instructions and your prerequisite. In second session, we just learned why we are moving towards React to create user interface. Before React, there was HTML and JavaScript. With them also, we can create user interface. But why we are moving towards React? For that, we have discussed advantage and disadvantages with HTML and JavaScript. And we just came to know that all the advantages of HTML and JavaScript are implemented in React by eliminating your disadvantages of HTML and React. Okay, so in tomorrow's session, we will see how to create one button using React. In button, I mean how to create a button in React. We will see that part. How to create list in React. We will see that part also. Then you will be able to understand these 2 points. Creating UI is easy and simple like HTML, and we can reuse our UI multiple times. Okay, so that's all guys for today's session. So let's join tomorrow and let's understand this thing practically in tomorrow's session. So our sessions are going to be like this. So initially we will learn some theory part about the concept, then we will implement that part practically. So
Hi, sir.
yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain briefly about in the future like JavaScript also?
I will explain the concepts that come into picture while understanding React. At that time, I will explain some of the JavaScript concepts. Okay.
Only ES6 or else previous versions also?
Oh, on ES6, not ES6. It's like a previous version also. Whichever concept comes into picture, that I will teach. Okay.
What are the concepts will come? I know about that.
So there are so many concepts you will encounter with the promises, you will encounter with the fetch, you will encounter with the spread operator, you will encounter with the events, you will encounter with the DOM manipulation. So a lot of concepts will come into picture while understanding React. Array will come into picture, objects will come into picture, array methods will come into picture, string methods will come into picture. Okay. But basic things I won't explain, like operators, I won't explain. What are selection statements, how if else works, how switch works, how loops works. All those things are basics. So I won't explain that part.
Okay. Yeah, in Java, in React.js, components and hooks and Redux, both these three are you will explain, right? In JDL.
Yes, Redux will be covered, hooks, all the hooks will be covered. So I have shared syllabus, right? So
Yeah,
let
that's
let me reshare in case if someone don't have. So whatever topics I have mentioned there, everything will be covered.
Yeah, Redux, how many days it will take to do that?
1 week
Redux.
it will go, Redux.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
Redux it is a long chapter, so it will go nearly 1 week, and it's the most complicated topic in your
Yeah.
entire React.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and we will focus on core Redux. If you understand core Redux, then it will be great for you.
Okay.
Then understanding Redux toolkit will be very, very easy for us.
Yeah, also could you please share the any web link for to review reference document or something like
Or which reference?
JavaScript we have with the Mozilla developer,
Yeah.
right?
So for this, for React or Redux?
Redux and React.
For React, you have to go with React Dev. This is the official documentation. Okay, and for Redux, you can go with Redux official documentation. Redux.js.org. Okay, this is the official documentation of Redux, and it's very pretty clear and simple documentation. Anyone can understand.
Like
And
user.
yeah, this is also clear and easy to understand.
Yeah. The libraries, right? Like the
Yes.
native libraries. Thank you.
Sir, are
Can
you
we
covering APIs, sir?
Yes, yes, I'm covering APIs. So I have mentioned Axios, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is where we are going to encounter with APIs. So our half of course will be on APIs only. Okay, so we will be fetching the data from different APIs, and we are going to render those data in our UI.
For the API testing, you are using with the Postman or some other?
Postman is to test APIs. Suppose if you are creating the APIs and if you want to check whether those APIs are working as per your requirement or not, for that we require Postman. Here we are not going to create APIs. Here we are going to consume APIs. So these APIs will be created by backend developers, the people who are learning Spring Boot, Node.js. Those are responsible for creating APIs. Those people uses Postman. We are going to directly consume those APIs in our applications. We will create one React application. In that, we will use those APIs.
Okay, for the configurations also briefly we explained, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sir,
Paint
will
I
you
will share
cover
tomorrow
multiple
session.
projects or only single projects, sir, end of the course?
So during the course, we will do small tasks, small mini projects. But at the
Okay.
once we have done with our course, then we will do one main project.
Okay. Will you guide this dashboard creation or something to submit during the interview period or something? Or
Like dashboard creation, like I didn't get your point exactly.
actually, we are creating one project, right?
Okay, so I won't support that because I
Okay.
won't get the time also.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the thing what I will do is like in our course, I will teach everything. During that, if you get any doubts, yeah, you can ask me. But I won't be able to resolve your project. I mean, if suppose you are working on certain XYZ projects, right? Those
Mhm.
issues I cannot resolve because I won't get that much time, right?
No. Actually, if we are going fresher as a fresher interviews now, they are
Mhm.
requesting to submit some portfolio like a
That is
dashboard,
what
what
we are,
we.
yeah, that is what project we are developing, right? So whatever
Okay.
project we develop, right, that project you can showcase in your interviews.
Okay.
It will be big project, right? It's not like a small project. It will be a good amount of project where you can showcase that project in your interviews. And
Okay.
to showcase that project, they will ask a lot of questions on that project and you will be
Mhm.
able to answer it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
can we get these recordings?
Yes, you will have the recordings of each and every session. Plus, I will provide the paint files and notes as well, guys. Just give me tomorrow, I will share all these paint files.
Okay,
For
thanks.
recordings, you have to connect with admin people. They will share the recordings of the sessions.
I mean, every day after the session, after a couple of hours, we will get our.
Yes, yes, every day you will get. Right now, for demo sessions also you will get recordings. And once you enroll into course, after our session, they will take some 3 to 5 hours. After that, they will upload the recordings on the portal. So every day you will get the recordings.
Then
And you will have
yesterday's one we did not get. Maybe who
uh,
will do?
still for these are the demos, right? Right now you connect with admin, they will provide you the recordings. But once you guys enroll in the course, then they will create some account for you. They will provide you one dashboard. In that dashboard, you will be able to access all the recordings.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Neil, integration with Spring Boot, you will understand. Yeah, guys, if you don't have any doubts, yeah, you can drop. Let's meet tomorrow at same time.